Hello football fans, James Sharman here with you and welcome into room 442 in what's been some week in the soccer world. From 98th minute winners to Haaland hat-tricks, soul-crushing worldies at BMO Field, and of course Thursday's transfer deadline. Today we'll take a look at the business on Thursday and what it means for football in the short and long term. Michael Singh and I will get you set up for every one of the weekend's Premier League matches in the quickest way possible, and we'll grab a seat and reflect on the week that was, the stories that made us go, and look ahead to what the weekend might entail for our MLS teams. Yep, it's room 442.
But it is a never-ending cycle. Every year they spend more. Every year we're having the same discussion, or is this viable? Well, it is happening. So either we're all living in a very big bubble, and football is weird enough to support a bubble, or we will see this increasing and increasing and increasing in an unstoppable manner.
Well, the experts seem to agree. Football is back. In fact, in England alone, almost £2 billion, about $3 billion, was spent prior to Thursday's deadline. And there was some transfer deadline. Some players we thought would go nowhere went somewhere, while others we were sure would go somewhere went nowhere. To start with, the Go Nowhere crew, and there was no bigger name in the soccer world this summer than Cristiano Ronaldo. We were all certain he'd be moving, having made it known he craved Champions League football. Sadly, not enough Champions League teams craved him, meaning that CR7 is stuck with Manchester United, and dare I say it, Europa League football. The good news for Ronaldo is that he could still win something. United are at plus 450 to win the Europa League, second favourites in fact to win the thing, behind Arsenal at plus 300. Close behind Ronaldo as back page fodder was Barcelona's Frankie de Jong. Despite Barca desperate to sell him and despite bids of over $100 million, he stays at Catalan, mainly because the club still owes him $20-odd million. But regardless, good for him for sticking to his guns. Everton's protege, Anthony Gordon, in the end didn't get that $100 million move to Chelsea. He stays at Goodison Park, which is probably the best thing he could have done. Wilf Zaha was supposed to be on his way to Chelsea too, or Arsenal, or Tottenham, but in the end he stayed at Crystal Palace. There was also a crazy rumour early on Thursday that Neymar was leaving PSG for, Chelsea. It was likely just only ever a rumour, but it did turn some heads, especially at Stamford Bridge. In the end, the Blues did make some noise, bringing in Barcelona and former Arsenal veteran striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for around $15 million, and Marcos Alonso heading the other way. Chelsea had to find goal scoring as their early season malaise has seen them drop to plus 4,000 to win the Prem, and even plus 125 dogs to finish in the top four. With those, by the way, are longer odds than, Manchester United. We do need to give some love to the club who basically owned the window right up until the 11 p.m. GMT deadline when announcing Loic Barda with this very cool post. Nottingham Forest completed their record 21st signing. 21, that's essentially a brand new squad. Is it too much? Time will tell, but well done, Forest. Okay, I'm now joined by Michael Singh, and we can all breathe now. We now know what these teams all have to play with until the winter window opens in January.
So let's take a look at all 10 Premier League matches this weekend, although most clubs did tend to get most of their business done early, such as Everton and Liverpool.
Indeed, Mikey, and it's to Goodison Park for the Merseyside derby on Saturday, where 4 of the past 5 derbies have been draws. But overall, Liverpool are unbeaten in 25 of the past 26 between these two. Now, both sides have lengthy injury lists, but Liverpool welcome back Darwin Núñez from his 3-match suspension, so that'll be fun. The Toffees are still winless on the campaign, but defensively look quite improved. This is the derby, it's always feisty. But sorry, Frank Lampard, your team is mismatched, even at home. Take a Reds win along with most corners, but Everton will take the most cards. Let's head south now, and another London derby, Marky.
Yes, James, Tottenham-Fulham is a London derby, but it's a one-sided London derby, as the Cottagers have taken just 4 out of their last 39 available points against the Spurs. Couple that with Tottenham's fine run of form at home, they've won their last 5 games at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it'll be hard to bet against Antonio Conte's men in this one. But there's no value straight up on the Spurs. So how about we parlay Tottenham on the money line and Harry Kane to score his 5th goal of the season?
Okay, now last weekend Bournemouth lost 9-0 to Liverpool, while on Wednesday Forest lost 6-0 to Man City. Welcome to the Premier League, fellas. We can look at last season's contests in the League Championship, which the Cherries won, but considering Forest have 21 new signings this summer, it seems irrelevant. Now, Bournemouth did draw Wolves midweek, having just fired their manager Scott Parker, so let's consider that their bounce. The City Ground will be bouncing this Saturday, but with Forest back home and on the front foot again, I'll take them on the money line.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang may be back in London, but what about Chelsea? The Blues are off to their worst start to a season since 2015, and that year, Jose Mourinho got sacked. Thomas Tuchel likely won't face the same fate, but he'll have to turn the ship around quickly. And what better way to do so than against your capital rivals West Ham at Stamford Bridge? But even if Aubameyang plays this weekend, I don't feel confident backing either side. Chelsea have won 6 of their last 16 home matches, while West Ham have won 3 of their last 6 against Chelsea. What I do like, however, is the goal total. Both Chelsea and West Ham have struggled to create chances, evidenced by their 8 goals combined through 10 matches this season. So how about under 2.5 goals at plus 110?
Brentford Leeds. No, bear with me, this is actually a really good match. Two teams who like to play at breakneck speed, although both teams have had difficulty at the pointy end of the pitch recently. They've combined for 3 straight draws over the past week as well, but take a chance on this one. It'll be a fun encounter, so have some fun betting. Like for example, taking the draw and over 2.5 total goals. That means a 2-2 draw gets you plus 950.
No draws in this one as Southampton travel to Molineux Stadium to take on the Wolves, a team they haven't had much success against in recent years. The Saints have picked up just 1 point from their last 6 games against the Wolves, though they'll like their chances against their vulnerable Wolverhampton side that's yet to pick up a win this season. The one thing working against them, however, is their horrid away form. Southampton haven't won back-to-back away matches in over 2 years, and I don't think that streak snaps on Saturday. At plus money, give me the Wolves on the money line.
With Zaha, he almost became a magpie by all accounts. Instead, he has stayed at Palace, which is just huge for one of these surprise teams of the season. Newcastle are coming off a 98th minute loss to Liverpool, but Alexander Isak scored in his debut and will cause Palace plenty of issues. Both teams are eyeing the European spots this season. They'll be at it tooth and nail all season. This should be a tight affair. Take a draw and under 2.5 total goals for a nice plus 325.
Who's ready for another Erling Haaland show? The Norwegian has notched back-to-back hat-tricks and looks unstoppable. Good luck, Villa. Haaland's 9 goals set a new Premier League record through a player's first 5 games, as the Man City striker is the runaway favorite for the Golden Boot this season. Honestly, this one's not even really about Man City Villa. Just make sure you continue to bet on Haaland before odds makers catch on. Give me Haaland to score at least twice at plus 340.
Okay, let's take a different spin on this Brighton Leicester. On Thursday, Leicester lost to Manchester United, and post-match manager Brendan Rodgers threw his owner under the bus, saying his team has not had the help it needed in the window. It was crazy. As such, Rodgers has soared to the top of the next manager fired odds at minus 150, lose to Brighton, and I say he's gone.
And last, but certainly not least, it's the match of the weekend, as a rejuvenated Manchester United side hosts league leaders Arsenal on Sunday. Since benching captain Harry Maguire and demoting Cristiano Ronaldo to the bench, Erik ten Hag's men have won 3 straight games. But honestly, aside from their win against Liverpool, they haven't been too convincing. But on the other hand, have Arsenal really been tested this year? Crystal Palace, Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa. Are Mikel Arteta's men simply benefiting from an easy schedule to start the year? I'm staying away from the result, but both teams are loaded with firepower up top and still have question marks at the back. So how about both teams to score and over 3.5 goals at plus 195.
Cristiano Ronaldo has hit out at what he has called lies about his future at Manchester United, claiming he has a notebook of stories about him, with only 5 out of 100 being correct.
Yeah, Ronaldo hit out at the speculation about him on Instagram last night and also said people will know the truth when he does an interview in the coming weeks.
All right, Mikey, so that was 2 weeks ago now. The window's closed. Ronaldo didn't get his wish. He hasn't moved. Let's start with him. Has it been an embarrassing summer for Ronaldo? Do you have any sympathy for him at all?
I don't have sympathy for him. He's come out. Well, hasn't really come out. People have said that he wants Champions League football, that he wants higher ambition, I guess, to play. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get higher than Manchester United. I think he's got to look at kind of what is in front of him right now, and the team's starting to click without him in the starting 11. So on that note, it's like, yeah, people are starting to question, do you necessarily make teams better? And I personally, the way I was thinking, I'm like, Ronaldo on any team, like, you take that because he has the history. But now, the way the game's played, a lot of teams are playing, does he really fit a lot of teams' style?
Right, it's systems based now, right?
Yeah.
And most teams love to press. They want their forwards to backtrack. And for all his genius, he's nenever done that, right? It's not who he is. So I can't wait for him to come out and clarify everything, which he said from the clip you saw there, right? He has said that. Now, will he now? Who knows? Maybe January comes around. Maybe, the rumours resurfaced. There was some crazy talk earlier on this Friday about Fenerbahce sniffing around. Fenerbahce, I mean, listen, not to ridicule Turkish football, it's good football, right? And that's a huge club. But he's not going to Fenerbahce. Their window, by the way, closes September the 8th, and that's why they could potentially still make some signings. You can still sell. Yeah. You just can't buy right now. But it's a weird one. And I won't say his legacy isn't tarnished. It's Ronaldo, but maybe with some United fans, it is somewhat. You're a United fan. Your team's 5th in the table right now, won 3 straight games. What crisis, right?
Yeah, they've really turned it around in terms of the results, and they played really well against Liverpool. Right? They honestly, if you could argue, I would say they deserve to win the game based on what they did. Yeah. I don't know if you.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I'll accept that begrudgingly.
Klopp doesn't agree, but I still think United probably deserve to win the game. They set up to play that game, but then you go to some of their next matches, and they're expected to dominate Southampton. Didn't necessarily do so. They scored a really, really nice goal, but a lot of the 45 minutes was spent defending. And then you face a team that's at the bottom of the table in Leicester. Again, a 1-0 victory. Sure, it's away from home, which is great, you want to see, but the performance itself, aside from the first 45 minutes, wasn't too convincing. So now, looking at this weekend, it'll be a test, right, against Arsenal. And Arsenal's looking really good. And we'll see if United can once again raise their game, because I think it's dropped off after that first performance.
Still grinding out results is important too. Some would say also Arsenal are getting their first test as well on Sunday. It feels like a big game, and I wonder, 2 weeks ago, maybe it wouldn't have seemed like a big game, given what was happening at Old Trafford, right? So it feels like, this is the way it should feel.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Manchester United. Yeah. It means something. Can the Gunners go 6-0? Can United continue? We'll see. It really was a crazy window, though, wasn't it? Transfer window. In England alone, £2 billion. That's $1 billion more than the rest of Europe combined. That's crazy.
No,
that's just insane right now. What was the story for you? For me, I think it's probably Barcelona still, and what they managed to do despite having no money.
Honestly, ludicrous. It has to be Barcelona. They've, in a way, mortgaged some of their future here, right, by selling their TV rights in order to abide with the financial fair play rules. But if you were
called a lever, by the way.
A lever. Yeah, now we know. No, but if we were to say at the start of the window, Barcelona, you're going to be bringing in Lewandowski. You're going to be bringing in Koundé, Frankie de Jong. You're keeping.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're bringing in Bellerin from Arsenal. they've added a lot of depth to the squad. If you're telling me Barcelona was going to do that at the start of this window, I would have told you you're crazy. There's no way, they don't have money. But the fact they've been able to do this and build what looks like will be a pretty competitive side, you know, it's a gamble, but it could be a gamble that pays off coming out of the pandemic, right?
Yeah, and that's the key word, isn't it? Pandemic. And football cried poor throughout the pandemic. And now we're seeing this team in Barcelona with all these restrictions doing what they've done. The Premier League during a time where the UK is preparing for this dreadful winter with energy prices, the cost of living going through the roof, and they're spending £2 billion on transfers. I don't think football looks good right now. Every man right now is not happy, saying this is just not reality. It really is a bubble, as we heard the marketing experts say earlier in the show today. But it is what it is. It's always been a bubble, I think, and it's always been operating outside the realms of our reality, put it that way. But we still tune in every Saturday.
It's fun.
Sunday,
No,
right?
I like it. Bring on the chaos. Bring on the movement. Bring on the big transfers. I
Yeah.
want to see how these guys do in different environments, and will be put to the test. We'll see how Lewandowski does with Barcelona. We'll see how Anthony does with Manchester United. We were just talking about Manchester United. They made some additions. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to
Interesting,
Chelsea.
really interesting, yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, what no one's questioning right now is Erling Haaland and that bit of business. Man City didn't do too much, but what they did.
And he was, 58 million? I think it was. Obviously, the release clause, and that's why it was so cheap. But you're getting a guy, and listen, we're 5 games into the season, much can still happen. Maybe he'll get cold. I don't think he will. But you're going to get a guy that's going to score 30 goals a year for the next 10 years.
goals by the first half
Maybe
of the
more
season.
than that. How many can you score? What do you think? Right now, what's your gut telling you?
He can score 45 goals.
I know, it's just...
I'm not even. I
It's
don't even
just
think that's
stupid.
I thought it was a reserved answer. I think he can even surpass that. He's at 9 goals right now. We've played 5 matches.
Yeah.
And it looks like he got off to a slow start, and now he's starting to round into form.
And he's got a month off for the World Cup to rest as well. You know, 40 could be the new 30. I've been living that for a long time, trust me. 40 being the new 30. And it could be. Can you imagine hitting 40 goals? I mean, we haven't seen that, I don't think, since the 60s. In English football, anyway.
Wow, that's off the top of your
I
head. That's
believe
that's
so.
impressive. This is
I'm
why
trying to
James
think.
Sharman's here.
Well, I know Henry and Shearer, Shearer and Cole hit 34 one year. And that was the old record in the Prem. And prior to that, Clive Allen scored a lot for Spurs at one point. Anyway, I'll look it up.
Let me ask you, Darwin Nunez, how many does he score this season? Because the talk of the transfer was Darwin Nunez or Erling Haaland. Now it doesn't seem like it's really a debate.
Someone may have put some money on Darwin Nunez to win the Golden Boots, and someone might be regretting that right now.
No.
You know, if he stays on the pitch and doesn't get suspended, I think he'll score goals. But listen, I haven't seen enough of him yet. But Haaland just seems to be a class above.
Yeah.
Right now, everyone, just
No,
what he does.
I would go with saying he is the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, well, certainly he's on the best form in the world at this point, and we'll revisit that statement in a few weeks' time. But you might not be far off. He's pretty special. He's a force a force of nature. Let's be honest. TFC Montreal this weekend, the big derby, of course. Montreal, I know they lost midweek, but they're looking pretty strong, of course, in the East. Are they a genuine title contender this season?
Title contender, MLS Cup.
Yeah.
You know why I say they might be? Is because the Eastern Conference is not very good.
Right.
You know, you have the New York Red Bulls. New York City FC has absolutely faltered. They're in shambles right now. They do not look like a good side, and what a drop-off it has been since losing Castellanos. And then beyond that, you have Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia Union, which looks like the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference. They are the hottest team in the league right now, and they're tied for the Supporters' Shield, and they look like the best team in MLS right now. So that's their competition, those 4 teams. I think anyone else in the Eastern Conference, unless Toronto can find a way to get in, I don't think is really challenging for that spot in the MLS Cup final. So there is a path forward for Montreal. But then, of course, on the other side, you have an LAFC,
Right.
who everyone is already penning in. I don't even say penciling. Everyone's like penning in LAFC to make the MLS Cup final with the amount of firepower that they have there. So there is a path forward for them. They could do it. I don't think they get past Philadelphia or the Red Bulls.
It should be a shame because this might be their year, right? With Georgi Mihailovic off in January. Ishmael Kone almost went to Sheffield United, if you believe what's being reported. The deal broke down. Now, would it have been for now or would it be for January? I don't know, but I
You
mean,
have to imagine January.
you would think so.
right?
I mean, I can't imagine Montreal letting that guy go now when they're in the midst of this championship run.
You see that everywhere around the league where teams are selling players. Mihailovic
Yeah,
is
right,
an
prime example.
example, and they get loaned back for the rest of the season. But yeah, if he were to go in this window, it would have been a big blow. But they held on to him for now, and he will play a key role for them as they make that push to the playoffs, right?
And heading out in January if that's the case. 'Cause those rumours will resurface, of course. And if he goes to the Blades, that's a nice landing spot for him. I think that's a team that has a great history of blooding young players.
Yeah.
And then they make a move to a bigger club. And I apologise to all my friends out there who are Blades fans. There's a few of them in Canada, trust me, and they hate me right now. Blades are a great team. Bramall Lane, fantastic. But we've seen guys move all the time to bigger clubs. So yeah, might be a good move for him. We'll have to wait and see. But it should be a great match. I think it should be a typical derby. They don't like each other. I know TFC aren't allowing travelling support in the section because of what's happened in the past between the fans, which is disappointing. I think, but tough to debate. But yeah, we'll see. That's Sunday, of course. And we'll be back on Tuesday to discuss just what's happened in the MLS over the weekend. Mikey, thanks so much. Great job today. This has been Room 442. We'll see you once again on Monday.